Clementi Sonatina in C, Opus 36, number 1. A very popular selection as one of the first sonatinas that we teach and we learn. A very good introduction to sonata form, to telling a story in this form with an exposition, a development and a recapitulation. And with modulations to different keys, which we need to make sure we know which the keys are. So the rhythm, as you know, moves in quavers and crotchets and minims, and also occasionally semibreve. So the rhythm isn't complicated, but the time signature is 2-2, 2 minims in a bar. We can count that either 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Ultimately, we'll of course count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We can set the metronome in a similar way. A suitable learning tempo might be about 72 beats per minute. Below the performance tempo, perhaps we will have the bell every second. 1, 2. Perhaps we should have a subdivision. And 2 and 1. And like always, you could creep up on the tempo. If you don't like all the bells and subdivisions, of course, you may only need that a little bit. Is it a good idea to learn this piece hand separately? Perhaps it is, because the right hand is very active. And you'll notice in the first theme we have slurs, another one, and they contrast with the repeated notes to make so that's one of the first things we need to master. We may have to make sure we have good staccato, both on the repeated note, but also when it jumps up an octave. So it's going 1, 1, finger 1, 1, finger 1, 5. That's quite important. Another place you'll notice this is in bar 8 and 9. Bar 9, where you have this, a slur over an octave, then 2 staccato notes. The fingering is interesting. This ancient edition I'm using goes 1, 5, 4, 5, which means you have to be good at going 5, 4, 5. Small hands won't be able to stretch that. Small hands might have to practice long note, short note, short note, short note with a phrase off. We can also practice without moving the octave. Long note, short note, which gets the same shape. We could even do gradually working up to the octave. Same idea there. So that's quite an important part of the piece there. So make sure you learn that when you're first learning the piece. Another thing you will see we have here with the first theme where it's bouncing. Does the same thing, slightly different. A jump and land. Then we have this sort of figure. If you look at that carefully, you'll see it's thirds moving down the scale, going to the new place that the character is going to G major. The fingering of those is quite important. This edition has 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, which works quite well. And you'll notice in the recapitulation at bar 30 we have the same idea where it's heading back home to C major, and it has the same fingering pattern. First one 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, and your thumb on the C on the tonic, just as this one had. Where has it gone? 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, thumb on the new tonic, which is G. In the exposition he makes it go alternating. In this one here, in the recapitulation, nice straight thirds with that laughing motif. So I like to use the same fingering there. I think that's quite important. The same fingering in bar 7 and bar 30. In this piece you'll notice that not only does it do a lot of jumping and landing, but it has running quaver passages. Sometimes they're scales. Sometimes they're a scale of G that starts on G. Sometimes it's a scale of G that starts on B. The fingering in this edition, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is quite good. You want to make sure when you get to the top that your thumb is tucked in, not your thumb is way down. Some people are trying to stretch there and it really destroys their phrasing of that part and makes their scale very uneven. You don't want your scale to sound like this. All struggling on the last part there. So we can practice just the scales. And in the recapitulation, C major starting on E. But after that we come to passages, running quaver passages that sound great, but you have to learn carefully because they have fragments of scales, they have leaps, they can have twisty bits. Have a listen to this. So we have a little arpeggio, a scale, a twisty bit, another bit of scale, then a repeated note, a bit of scale, like that. You'll notice they all have their own little gesture, particularly the twisty bits. You can see I'm going down, around, up and over. And in these ones I'm going up and over. So make sure you learn those quite carefully with the fingering. Sometimes it's a good idea to start at the end, so learn the last bit. The new home of G. Now I'm going to the beat before it. That one has the repeated note. Sometimes we can use silent change to make sure you know which fingers are repeating on which note. Silent change. Then I'll let it flow. Wrong fingering. 5, 4, 2. Then there's a twisty bit before that. Then there's a bit of a scale. I'll add the beat before it. And firstly, it starts with this arpeggio all together. So that running passage at bar 12 to bar 15 is important, and the equivalent part in the recapitulation at bar 35 is similar but not exactly the same. It starts off and then it has a leap. So make sure you know what that leap is and what your fingering is there. Then it has a long scale, and then it does something interesting. It goes basically down to the home C, but Clementi does it, adds an upper note for each one. He gets that note, that one gets that note, E gets an F, D gets an E, and all the go. The fingering in this edition, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, is pretty standard and pretty good. Clever ways of practicing that, you can chunk, a crotchet chunk. 1, 4 together, 2, 3 together, 1, 4 together, 2, 3 together, 1. You could also find that there's actually thirds in there. There's a third played by 4 and 2. There's a third played by 3 and 1. There's a third played by 4 and 2. Going to the final notes, a third played by 3 and 1. So those passages are good. It's good to practice those everywhere. You've got to go down the piano all the way till you run out of keys with that. So those passages there in the right hand, be careful about the learning of those. The other thing that's important in these quaver passages is